If President Biden got the US back into the Paris Agreement on his first day in office to reverse Trump's withdrawal, what do you think Trump would do in return if he retook the Oval Office? Trump is a man of action. However dubious some may find his efforts, you can't deny the man gives things a go, especially when challenged. Doing so drives him to crush you in a very Michael Jordan-esque manner. And what better way to end your adversary than to undo their legacy-making acts, orders, and agreements? With the significant strides the Biden administration made in advancing clean energy, there's a lot to dismantle if Trump perceives it to be a big component of Biden's legacy. Given that President Biden is now in lame duck status, I think it's safe to look back as far as Nixon and conclude that however sleepy Joe Biden may have been, one thing he didn't sleep on were initiatives for a cleaner planet. Due in part to egos, Biden rejoined the Paris Agreement on his first day in office, acting with the same speed as his predecessor to exit said agreement. And in an ultimate twist of irony, the Trump order to exit the agreement took effect on November 4th of 2020. But that was just the beginning of Biden's efforts, as it was only his first day in office. Taking a page from Trump's playbook, President Biden signed executive orders to get the ball rolling. Between 2021 and 2023, I found 12 executive orders that advanced clean energy in one way or another. EO number 14057, signed on December 8th, 2021, aims to bring renewable tech development back to America, develop the clean energy sector workforce, and drive engagement with the local government and private sector. President Biden didn't stop there. He was driven to continue making an impact by being a big supporter of American vehicle electrification. The bipartisan infrastructure law signed by Biden in November of 2021 allocated $7.5 billion specifically for building a national network of 500,000 EV charging stations by 2030. That's not even including tax credit expansions for electric vehicles in the Inflation Reduction Act, which has done a whole lot of people on all sides of the political spectrum a lot of good, and I challenge you to tell me otherwise. This act implemented a lot of things that would be highly exposed to Trump's spite. The IRA went very hard on climate and energy provisions, extending the tax credit until 2032 and increasing it back to the original 30%, while also allocating funds to improve energy efficiency in homes with tax credit incentives. Other IRA initiatives included healthcare, tax measures, and environmental justice causes that serve communities affected by environmental pollution, like residents of East Palestine, Ohio, for example. The Inflation Reduction Act stands out not only in vision, but in cost, coming in at approximately $740 billion. About half of the money is focused on climate change, clean energy, and sustainability. So it's safe to say that President Biden wanted to grow deep roots for a green future, which means a lot of effort has already taken place in reclaiming manufacturing jobs from overseas, growing renewable energy efforts at home, building a renewable energy workforce, and even an economy that caters to clean energy. As a result of the Inflation Reduction Act, Texas, Georgia, Ohio, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and other states have welcomed clean energy manufacturing of one kind or another to their state. That's not including vehicle manufacturing from the likes of Tesla, GM, Ford, and upstarts like Rivian and Lucid, who also benefited from the Inflation Reduction Act. And let's not forget about jobs in solar, wind, hydroelectric power, or energy efficiency all around the United States. Clean or sustainable energy of one kind or another has grown into a sector that employs an estimated 3 million plus people in the United States and is valued at an estimated $1 trillion collectively. Not only does the IRA mean a lot to the US economy, but it also means something to national security. You see, by investing money in the clean energy sector, we stand to limit or even decrease reliance on Chinese and other foreign sources. It's no secret that the Chinese make the majority of the world's solar panels, but by bringing manufacturing home to America, we regain some level of control. And that's exactly what's happened in the last 5 years, as American capacity increased from 12 gigawatts to 30 gigawatts by 2023. Battery manufacturing has also increased in the United States, going from a capacity of only a few gigawatt hours in 2018 to over 100 gigawatt hours in 2023. Increased tax credits for EVs in the IRA also help establish an American electric vehicle market, or at least one that is as stable and mature as possible for the onslaught of cheap Chinese EVs that is sure to happen because we Americans like cheap stuff. So it seems that the Inflation Reduction Act also helps lessen reliance on the Chinese and other countries for vital technologies. But even with this level of benefit that we could derive from the Inflation Reduction Act, there is reason to believe Trump would do what he did to the Affordable Care Act. Take it apart piece by piece, just to stick it to old Sleepy Joe. While it wouldn't be an easy endeavor, the Inflation Reduction Act would have a huge target on its back, and a second Trump administration could take apart the Inflation Reduction Act in 4 different ways through direct means. The oldie but goodie executive actions, the Walmart approach of rollbacks by repealing or rolling back regulations to weaken their effects. With the Supreme approach, his administration brings a case to the highest court in the land. No, not Snoop Dogg and his crew, but more Taco Bell style. The Supreme Court, where the legality of the IRA would be challenged. And if the Republicans were to gain control of Congress, Trump could even work with lawmakers to repeal or amend the Inflation Reduction Act through legislation. And finally, in office, he could impose tariffs on other countries' imports of similar technology so as to reduce the American adoption of renewable energy, which itself would have its own consequences relative to tariffs and how other countries would respond. But I don't think Trump would care if it meant getting back at old Sleepy Joe. Indirect ways to erode the Inflation Reduction Act could include swaying public opinion with his strong reach on social media, TV media, and of course word of mouth. We're still over 2 months out from the election, and given that you cannot trust polls, only time will tell who's going to be in the White House come 2025. Now, I'd like to make some predictions that could barely be defined as predictions, given that they're very logical, I feel. Regardless of what Fox News or the other Republican-leaning news organizations think, renewable energy is here to stay. Yes, we do need more nuclear power, but we also need a lot more solar, wind, and geothermal energy. And it seems like we're moving in that direction. 20 years ago, about 7% of the country's energy came from renewables. In 2023, that percentage increased to 24%. As our reliance on renewable energy has increased and economic dependence has grown alongside it. From the manufacturing plants open in America to support green energy initiatives to the jobs in the renewable energy industry. Nonetheless, I'm not confident a second Trump administration would consider the economic woes that would come from kneecapping America's clean energy industry. Fortunately, besides the economic benefits that renewable energy brings to the table, the development of this technology also helps serve America's competitive advantage against China. I think there's every reason to believe a second-term President Trump would take every swing he could get at anything clean energy done by Sleepy Joe. But I also think he'd face a lot of resistance along the way. What do you think?